What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Today I'm reviewing Nikka 21 Year Old. This is a blended Japanese whiskey. But before I get into that, I want to quickly tell you guys what I've been up to on Snups. Alright, so for those of you that don't know, this is the app here. Alright, this is the Whiskey in the Six featured group that I have on the channel. And I recently posted a question. For those of you that have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I do a top 6 whiskeys of the year. I'm stewing over what is gonna be my #1 whiskey of the year. There's lots to choose from. I've had a lot of excellent whiskey this year. So I posed a question to you guys. As the end of 2017 is rapidly approaching, I've been thinking about what my whiskey of the year will be. What has been the best whiskey you've tasted so far this year? Post a picture if you can. All right. This is just one of the many ways we can communicate on Snups, guys. I encourage you guys to download the app for free on iOS or Android. It's super cool for communicating, sharing your collection, because that's what it is. It's a collections app, all right? You can show me your whiskey collection, which is what I would like to see. But you can also, if you have other collections like books, I have a movie collection, I have a whole bunch of different things, so I will be periodically adding those to my Snups account because it's a way to categorize exactly what you have. I have 4 shelves on my account, Scotch, Canadian whiskey, bourbon, and world whiskeys, and I put my collection in the proper category. This didn't stay on my shelf for long because I ended up opening it up, but it's a very collectible whiskey, and that's why we're talking about this one today. So if you haven't already, it's SNUPPS. Download it today for free on the Android or iOS app stores. And you can also check it out on the computer. So just the website, all right? So, to the whiskey. As I said, this is a blended Japanese whiskey, highly sought after, huge secondary market. I got it in a trade for my double of the Macallan 17-year-old that I bought in Arizona in March. I paid $170 for that bottle. This bottle goes anywhere from $250 to, I've seen some places, $350. That's secondary prices. I wouldn't pay that much. I was lucky enough to get this in a trade. I'm going to tell you all about this whiskey. I'm going to tell you if it's worth its secondary market price and the details around it. Japanese whiskey has this huge cult following right now. There is astronomical secondary prices for stuff like Yamazaki 12-year-old, Yamazaki 18-year-old, Yamazaki 25-year-old. You don't even want to know what those go for. The Nikka 17 and the Nikka 21 are also extremely expensive. The Hibiki 12, 17, 21, really expensive. So when I got this for the swap for the Macallan 17-year-old, I thought it was a great deal. I tasted it on my birthday. I opened it up on my birthday this weekend that just passed, and I had a few other people try it. Obviously, that's not just me. I've only had 2 drams so far out of this, not including this one. And I gotta say I was a little bit underwhelmed. I'm gonna tell you the reason for that now. Okay, so on the nose, you're expecting a really nice whiskey. You have a hint of peat, like a heathery peat. There's definitely some cherry nuances in there. Maybe a little plum. Like an orange note for sure. So, it's very common for whiskeys to be better on the nose than they are on the palate, especially when you get upwards of the 21 and older range. The reason for that being the oak has a lot of tannins that get into the whiskey when they're older, and it makes it a little drier, a little more, well, a little less sweet, I guess you could say. There's a nice oak with this one, all right? On the palate, nice mouthfeel. It is unchill filtered, despite only being 43%. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I added a touch of water to see if it would open it up when I was sampling it, and you saw the Scotch mist, or well, the whiskey mist anyway. This being a Japanese whiskey, not a Scotch. I expected more sweetness, and I do feel that the second half of this bottle is going to improve that sweetness. It is already tasting better now than when I first tasted it. You do need to take a lot of time with this. I let this sit for a half hour. All right. Another taste. It's smooth. There is a nice sweetness to it. It's not overly sweet. It's actually sweeter now than it was, like I said, 4 or 5 days ago. Actually 2-3 days ago. A little bit of cinnamon on the back end. You get that cherry element. A little bit more peat on the palate than there is on the nose, which is usually the opposite, actually. I am enjoying this a lot more now than I did that day. And this is why it's important to try things a few times before you give it a final assessment. I opened this bottle and the expectations were through the roof. So that already is setting me up for failure. I probably had a bunch of different things on my palate, considering it was my birthday. I had a big dinner, a big dessert with cake and that sort of thing. That's going, despite having this several hours after that, after the food and cake and stuff like that, that's still gonna linger a little bit on your palate. So everything you taste might not be as sweet when you have a dessert or something of that sort. I stand corrected. This is a lot better now than it was the original time that I had it. A lot better. It's a little bit more syrupy for some reason. There's a lot more going on the palate. When I first tasted it, it was almost watery. I was very disappointed with the texture. I wasn't getting the sweetness that I'm getting now. Even the peat wasn't very strong. There wasn't a lasting impression on the palate. Whereas now I'm getting a lot more out of this. One more sip and I will give this a mark. Yeah. Okay, so final assessments are these. It's got a nice sweetness to it. It's not overly sweet. It's got a nice peatiness to it. Not overly peaty. The best bottle I can compare this to would be like a Highland Park 18-year-old. Although this is a blend, it's a malted blend, so it's all malt whiskey in there. It's not a blended grain whiskey. Okay, so you're looking at stuff from the area around. I think it has to be, I'm not exactly sure how Japanese blends work. I know there's a stipulation where they actually have to be, I think it's from the distillery, but I could be wrong and I'm not sure how that would work. So maybe you guys can clarify that for me if you don't mind. It's not a single malt. It's, like I said, a malted blend. I'm gonna say this is an 88, all right? So an 88, 80, close to probably an 89 actually, now that I had this marked down as an 85, okay? So that would be an A right on the dot. And it's funny because this experience, and I really shouldn't let this experience alone be the sole judge, but I knew there was something there when I was tasting it, and the hype around it made me assume that there was way more there to be, you know, enjoyed. And I wasn't getting it in those first couple of examples, but I think this just needed its extra time. And being open and already almost halfway through definitely helped. So if you do have this bottle, you do decide to open it, which is rare because not a lot of people are opening this bottle, give it some time. Give it at least a half hour in the glass. I know it's only 21 years old, but it's gonna need at least a half hour in the glass, and that's exactly what I did for this. And it really helped a lot, and I'm sure that a little bit of air in the bottle is helping that breathe as well. Okay, so I'm gonna give this an A. With the potential of re-reviewing this because it might continue to climb as I go down the bottle. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure. I'm really enjoying it right now. And that doesn't happen very often where it's such a drastic change from what I originally marked down as a mark. Okay, so that's an A for me. It's a high A, very close to an A+. I'm gonna say an 89, all right? Hope you like this video. I really encourage you guys to join Snups. Check out my Instagram because the rules for my giveaway of the Weller 12 is listed on the Instagram. It's also posted on my Facebook and my Twitter. So if you don't have Instagram, you can find it most likely on my Facebook as well. And basically what you have to do is you have to follow me on either Instagram or Facebook. You have to add 3 people to that post. You have to be a subscriber of mine and then download Snups and add a bottle on the Whisky chat. So on my Whisky in the 6 featured group, you're gonna add a bottle. Tell me what your YouTube subscriber name is because that's very important in me being able to identify you for the list of people that I have that can win the bottle. Right now I have a list of only 1 to 12, I think. So there's gonna be a really lucky person out of 12. There's some really good odds. I hope the odds get a little bit better. You have till October 31st to complete the stipulations for the giveaway. All right, guys. So get on that right away. This way you have a chance to win a Weller 12, and it has to be North American entries only. Unfortunately, I apologize to everybody else, but I want to make sure it gets to that person. Okay. That's an A. I thank you guys. Subscribers are climbing. My Instagram followers are climbing. I'm no longer allowed to add anybody else on Facebook as a friend. For some reason, there's a 5,000 person cap. So people are adding me, and unfortunately, I'm pressing accept, but it's not allowing me to do it. So that just goes to show how awesome you guys are, and the fact that you guys are following me and watching me at all is pretty cool on my end. So thank you very much, guys. Cheers.